Hey everyone, thank you for stopping by Living To Do's review of Married at First Sight, Season 16, Episode 18, called What's Our Safe Word? Before I get started with the review, please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I would really appreciate it, and I thank you in advance. Okay, so this episode is about a week before Decision Day. The first couple I'll talk about will be Chris and Nicole, and I really have nothing. We just see that they talk to a family member to get their take on things or just to talk things out. And it was interesting to see that Chris's brother, Brandon, I believe his name was, he's a life coach. So he has a really good person that he can confide in and talk through things about his relationship with Nicole. But other than that, there was nothing else about that couple. So let's move on to the next couple, which is Clint and Gina. They first show Clint in a drive-through with the dog Hank, and he gets some treats for Hank to nibble on as well as his own food. And I just that their connection, or maybe it's just the dog is a friendly dog, but they kind of look like each other, and I just thought this dog, I would be okay if this dog had to go to Clint in this divorce that's going to happen. They just seem paired really well. He just like a man and his dog. They look good together. It was just a sweet moment. I think after this, he's going to get his own dog. He seems like a man that needs a dog. We also see Clint working out with McKinley. McKinley was married to Dominique, the fifth couple that didn't work out. Apparently, they only knew each other for 14 days. McKinley is dating a little bit. And he was talking about Gina. We know later on in the episode, he says that he slid into Gina's DMs. He's sitting there talking to Gina's husband, saying how they're similar, hardworking. And why would you do that with Gina's husband, your friend's wife? And maybe it's just the way it was edited, because the way they made it seem is, well, I don't know why you would compare yourself to your friend's wife and the husband sit there and, and he seems oblivious. So maybe it was just the way they edited it. And I'm just thinking, since we know later that you slid into Gina's DMs, I see him differently, sitting there trying to get intel about Gina from Gina's husband. It is a whole different vibe. So we'll see what happens with that. Later, Clint gets a haircut, and we learn that he hasn't had a haircut in 8 years. He's been doing it himself. And Gina tried to play like, maybe all he needed was a haircut for her to be attracted to him. I think she's just stringing us along. Everyone knows they're not doing well, so much so that Dr. Pepper and Pastor Cal paid only this couple a visit before Decision Day. Dr. Pepper wanted to know if they had watched the requested movies, emotional movies, to spark some type of relationship between the two. And I think it was Driving Miss Daisy and something else. And they had not. They said they blamed it on scheduling problems, that they couldn't get together to do that. And she says, well, if I was to give you $3,000, you, I guess, would have found time. So you make time for things that are important, but we can see where this is going, and that they're not important to each other, especially Gina for Clint. Gina said that they were mismatched, that their personalities were different, that Clint was outrageous, life of the party, to the point you get secondhand embarrassment, and that's something that she's not attracted to, which is fair. Um, I think the comment about her weight, her body type is, it weighs on her, no pun intended, but that was the real reason, I think, that she didn't even put forth effort. Um, they showed them kissing at their wedding, or they reminded them. I think they just showed us, the audience, that how they were affectionate at the wedding, and she just doesn't feel it. And she was making up all these excuses. She doesn't feel like a wife. He doesn't do anything for her. And he said, I cook, and she couldn't even let him finish before saying, you cook for yourself. Basically, what you do is what you would have done for Eris, anybody else around there, Nicole, whoever. And I guess she didn't feel that was something special that he was doing for her. He wasn't cooking for her. He felt sidelined, like she's saying all this stuff now and he didn't know this. I felt that what's her name? I felt that Gina, she was making excuses. She was in fact lying. She's not trying, and she's blaming him as the problem. And I can agree with her on some things, but I think she's just making it up. And especially, she never really had this conversation with him on any of this. So it's coming out of the blue to him. She is, to me, she seems like a snake in the grass. I wouldn't trust her. She's going to always lie to make herself look good type of person. She's not taking accountability. She's kind of gaslighting him. Maybe he was cooking for her. Maybe he did these things and now she's saying it's not for her. Gina, you're not looking good, girl. Just not looking good. And I think instead of trying to make people stay together, you should just let these people go. You should have a feel of her attitude and what she's all about, and she shouldn't be matched with anybody else. Okay, on to the next couple. All right, the next couple will be Kirsten and Shaquille. We see Kirsten having lunch with her brother William, and they're discussing how she doesn't feel emotionally connected to Shaquille. And her brother, he wants Shaquille to be comfortable. So she plans a dinner that she's going to have her brother and mother come to at her house just to have family time. And she's discussing with her brother that, he still hasn't met their dad. And I don't understand what the big deal is with that. 2 months and you guys live in the same town. You could have found time to have gone over and allow him to see your dad. Kirsten, she gives me Lori Harvey vibes. She seems like a shell of a person, and no disrespect, because it just seemed just kind of empty. I just thought of it. It just came to me when I was watching her, how she just moves. Shaquille had a conference call with his friend Sherman, and he discusses not having met his father-in-law, and that bothers him. He wants to feel comfortable with her family. He wants to feel included. Apparently, when he has calls with his family, it's on speakerphone. So Kirsten is included in the conversation. That's nice. I think she told Shaquille that the one reason why she hasn't had him meet the dad at first, maybe because she didn't know how this was going to turn out. Maybe she was waiting to see if it was a real marriage, that he would be included in her family things. I don't know. Still could have met him. You could meet a boyfriend, you know. After she had lunch with her brother, she comes home and Shaquille's making breakfast for dinner. And one thing I wanted to say is that he just had way too much bacon that he was preparing for the two of them. She mentioned that she was gaining weight because she had some fried chicken at lunch. She was eating a lot. She doesn't miss a meal. They want to get closer. They are both spiritual, so they showed them going to church together, which made it look really awkward because they were in an empty church, just the two of them talking. So we didn't really see them worship together. It just looks really weird to see two people in an empty church like that. Now, when they did have their family dinner that Kirsten planned, her brother couldn't make it. But her mom, Lavonda, she made it. And she sat down with the two of them. And Shaquille said that he's not his best self. He explained that, that Kirsten had walls. He was taking down the wall brick by brick, and he thinks he built up a wall around himself with those bricks. And she's, Kirsten's explaining how she doesn't feel connected. She just feels like when he comes home, they just kind of do their separate things. They're not emotionally connected. And her mother gave words of wisdom. She offered up words of wisdom. She said, let your expectations go. You'll always will be let down. She said, relax and breathe. Love grows from living, not expecting. I loved everything her mother said. She is the wise one. I took a lot from that myself. That was great advice. And I can't even believe Kirsten is her daughter. Fill your daughter up with those words of wisdom. She needs to hear that. And a lot of people do. That was great for her to say. I'm glad they aired it for us all to hear. I don't know if it will make a difference in their relationship, but that was definitely sound advice, great words of wisdom. Okay, on to the next couple. Okay, the last couple is Eris and Jasmine. We see them in bed, and he is thanking her, being complimentary to her, saying that she made it fun at the couples retreat. I wasn't expecting that. He said that she's shown improvement. He's telling her this. She's showing improvement? She doesn't need to really improve. He needed the improving. But improving, and he means by speaking up, that seems to be important to him. He's always talking about her needing to speak up when she doesn't like something. And I thought it was nice that he was complimentary to her. He just seems like he is changing when it comes to her. It's how he says things. He's really not really looking her in the eye. He's still kind of hesitant with that, which I don't know how you have a marriage and you can't even look your spouse in the eye. That's just strange. So he needs some improvement. They both want to increase their intimacy, which is good. He wants her to initiate the intimacy. Now, she was at first when they first got married, early on, she was trying to be more affectionate, and he didn't seem to be into her. So, in a way, she was initiating it because she was the only one doing it when he wasn't. Does he not remember that? Anyway, she went pole dancing with Gina, and they were learning moves, and of course she has a great body, and she's also a cheerleading coach, so she has her moves. She was looking good, and who comes in? Eris. Eris was the only husband to come in and watch them pole dance, and then they showed just Jasmine and Eris in the room while she's pole dancing for him playfully, and he's making it rain with some fake money, I'm sure. It was a cute scene. He seemed to enjoy himself. Later, they got an intimacy box from the experts. So they're in their room, looking at the intimacy box where there's feathers where they can tickle each other and handcuffs and things like that. I guess there's some type of lotion or something. He gives her a foot massage. It looks like he even initiated the foot massage, because in past episodes we always see her like massaging him and doing the foot massage. And so it was nice to see him laying hands on her. He was playing with some handcuffs that was in the box. He discussed dominatrix, so he might be into that, because he asked her to slap him across his face hard. And at first, she's doing playfully and trying to get comfortable with actually slapping this man across the face. So this man wants to be dominated. Is that what his problem is? He's always talking about sexual positions, wants to be slapped, wants her to initiate intimacy. So, trying to think. He wants to be taken advantage of, like you said, dominated, I guess. And I was thinking, maybe he never initiated sex because of his sexual appetite. He knew what his sexual appetite was, and maybe he didn't want to defile a beauty queen. He's a freak. A freak. But he does seem like he is into her a little bit more. He doesn't seem to be closed off to her anymore. So maybe the tide is changing in this relationship. They only have a couple more days. And maybe he doesn't want to let her go. I found that really interesting. Really interesting. I want to know what a body language expert would say, or a psychologist would say, viewing what we have viewed with him in this episode and how he has been in the past episodes. I find it interesting. I don't know if they'll last. Maybe I'm just curious if they're going to last or not. But that is it for now. Thank you for staying with me to the end. Please like the video and subscribe to the channel. I thank you in advance, because I would really, really appreciate it. But that is it for now. I'll be back next week with the episode 19, but I gotta go because I got living to do. Bye.